All right, so this week's topic is actually kind of kismet, I guess. I decided because I wanted to make sure that we were like on top of everything that's going on in the world that we're in. I set up multiple Google alerts for stuff that's in our wheelhouse, and one of them, being just cover bands. Anytime somebody posts a news article, I get an email about it. And there was this one article that popped up that was called "How to Be Original in a Cover Band," and then I check who wrote it, and it's the guys from Yacht Rock Revue. My buddies Nick and all those
How
dudes.
about that?
I'm almost positive that Nick is the person who wrote this, but it is just a fantastic article, kind of explaining the things that they find unique about themselves that has worked, and just kind of sharing it with everybody. And good stuff. And I mean, it feels almost like the manifesto of this entire project.
It does.
So yeah, I figured we'd share it with you guys, kind of give our color commentary, but we'll go ahead and drop the full article in the show notes for this week's episode. And yeah, you should go check it out.
You should. Although after
So
listening to us talk about it, you won't need to.
maybe you don't, but there's some good anecdotal stuff that is specific to them.
Fair.
So
Fair.
that might be good to know about. So if you're wondering why the guys in Yacht Rock Review would be the kind of folks to have the authority to write an article like this, the only thing I can say is that they're currently on the road opening for REO Speedwagon and Train.
Yep.
So they took something that literally started in the basement of a bar to filling up sheds, which is pretty astonishing.
Yeah. So maybe
This
maybe
is-
they know what they're talking about. Consider maybe
Yeah.
they know.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and give them the certificate.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've got their credentials.
Yeah. I like the idea that we're the ones giving the certificate.
Yeah.
That's
Like, well, there is no governing body. We are
we claim
volunteering ourselves.
authority as the governing body. Yeah.
Yes, of course. Okay, we ready?
Let's go.
Let's go. First one is Own It.
Own it.
So in their context, you're saying you got to play the music as though it's your own,
Yep.
as though each song you sing is the most important song in the world for this moment.
And that you're not copying somebody, you're putting on a performance that is yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really just going out there and fully committing to whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah. And I love they mentioned the side effect of that is that you get to adjust the elements of the track to your own performance. You get to add energy, tempo,
Proclivities.
volume,
Yep.
Changing up the instrumentation, making an ending, right? That may or may not be how it was recorded, right? But if you own it, then it's yours. It's all fully yours to make yours and create around and have it be yours.
And that's including playing songs that other people wrote. It's kind of a fun thing to think about.
Yeah,
Like what is and isn't original.
Right.
Like, well, it's original because it's happening right now.
that's right. And I'm
It'll
interpreting
never
it.
be just like this.
Yeah, exactly. There is this moment that I'm playing it in, and there's the way that I, as an artist, am interpreting it, and I own that. That's my interpretation of it, and you're gonna enjoy it.
It's really cool. And so that's what we should do.
Yeah.
You got to go out there and actually give it to them. Next one, have an angle. I mean, it goes without saying, branding and marketing are important. It's
Yeah.
literally in the article. It says branding and marketing are important.
That's
It's
right.
right there.
That's right. And I think the big takeaway from this is that we've all seen the same classic rock band in the corner of the bar that doesn't have an angle. You can see them over there. We're a band. That's the angle.
Dime a dozen.
Yeah. Versus we're that band with the medleys. We're that band with the really eclectic set list. We're that band that focuses really narrow on 1979. I don't know. Whatever it is, the angle you take defines the decisions you make. It defines the presentation you put on. It defines what your audience is going to experience. And have one. Don't be generic. Be that band that X. That band that does that thing.
Yeah. The last sentence in this section was really what I liked. It said, where what works for you, riff on your source material instead of taking it literally. And then it says, if your band uniforms look like you should be playing at Six Flags, you might look sharp the first time someone sees you, but there's a ceiling to that approach.
Yeah. You got to be rock and roll.
So have an angle, but don't have a shtick, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a line where those things cross. We're planning another trip to see the Mouse in October, and there are a number of cover bands that play around the Disney properties
Oh yeah.
that are amazing. I mean,
Hmm.
very well vetted. The bar is high to get into those gigs. There's one that plays in the England Pavilion at Epcot,
Oh yeah.
right? That does like British
Yeah. The British
Invasion, and
invasion.
the British Invasion. That's the name of the band, and they're
Yeah.
unbelievably good
Yeah.
and look like they came from that era. And
Hmm.
yeah, I just think of folks like that when I think of Have an Angle, like we're that 60s to 70s British rock that defined that era globally, but we play in the England Pavilion, right? We're owned by England because that's our shtick, and that's our space, and that's our angle, right? It's pretty great.
Yeah. I mean, that band specifically, not only do they have an angle, they've got like they're like a, I don't know, a quadrangle or
Yeah,
a
yeah,
just something with a lot of angles,
yeah,
because they've got every bit of it down. Like, not only is the show like so tight,
yeah,
there's not a moment wasted.
yeah.
But if you go up and you talk to them and you pose for pictures, they say cheese and 3-part harmony, like it's like a
Uh
whole,
huh.
like
Yeah,
it follows them off the stage, I guess.
yeah. Well, and it's like that for every band that I've ever seen there. We've stayed at the Port Orleans French Quarter, and there's a
Hmm.
there's a lounge there that it has a standing band called the Jazz Fusion Band, and they're a cover band, but it's jazz inflected
Hmm.
cover music. And boy, I saw them do Sting's "Moon Over Bourbon Street." Oh, it was heartrending. It was so gorgeous. It was so perfectly done, and things like that, kind of weird deep cuts that are jazz edged, but they look like a jazz band. They're all kind of in, cool jazz guy, black turtlenecks and stuff. Like, it's very cool. But it's an angle, as your guys are saying here in this article. That's a take on what my presentation is going to be like, what my audience is going to be left with the direction I'm going with my song choices. It's really, really a mark of distinction against bands that clearly don't have an angle.
Right. And that's when people get in the door.
Yeah.
But there's another line in here that I really like. It said, people need to know what they're coming to see, and it needs to seem really fun at a glance.
Mm.
So that's branding, like,
20,
purely. That,
201. That's actually
yeah.
pretty advanced. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the idea that you can look at any piece of media that you have put out, and it just kind of does that
Yeah. Yeah.
unintentionally, or maybe intentionally, but
I would say probably intentionally, but it may seem effortless, and it probably
yeah.
is because as you're creating that piece of content, you're so embodying the angle, right? The brand that how else would it come across? Obviously, it's going to land like the brand.
Yeah. I mean, I think our logo does a really good job of that.
Yes.
So it's like a single kind of guidepost to what our whole thing is. I mean, I think it just, I don't know if there is a better one out there. I'm tooting my own horn on this one. I'm just
No,
saying,
you did good work.
because you see that and you're like, okay, they're a band from Atlanta. They do 80s music.
Yeah.
That's clearly what's happening.
Yeah. 100%.
And that's it. I mean,
It's impossible
and
to
people
miss.
like, yeah, 80s party sounds fun.
Yep.
So yeah, I just like the way that that's positioned. Know what they're coming to see, and it needs to seem really fun at a glance.
Yeah.
We're kind of talking up to this point about, drilling down and being very specific, but whatever it is that you're doing, even if it is very specific, needs to appeal to the widest swath of people possible,
For sure. For sure.
and finding that balance.
And that angle may be limiting in terms of your audience. Look, a Rush cover band is going to have a pretty particular audience, right? My wife
us.
my wife will not be coming to that. But any audience you define is going to be plenty to fill a venue for your average size venue. So there is a certain specificity or focus that can be really beneficial in making your message and making your case that people should spend their money and time with you.
Agreed. Next one, change it up.
Change it up.
If it's going one way, change it up.
Yeah.
Don't need to overthink it. Just, do it differently.
Yeah. One of the things that
But
was rough in a previous project of mine was that we had arrived at the same whole set of stage antics and shtick and jokes and things that we did, and we were playing enough that we weren't rehearsing anymore. We were just playing a lot. And so the set list wasn't changing up, and the humor wasn't changing up, and people who were seeing us for the first time, it seemed like it was really improvisational and really genuine, but people who saw us for the third time kind of knew our jokes.
Yeah.
That wasn't great.
The other thing about that is, you know, it not only make it interesting for the audience, you can make it interesting for yourself.
Crucial.
So that includes adding songs to your repertoire pretty regularly and actively trying to switch them out. I think that's something that we struggle with, is that something goes and it kills. When it kills consistently, it's kind of hard to like think about
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
you know,
No, that thing
replacing
really
it with
worked.
something.
That thing really worked. What are you talking about? Change it up. Like, the crowd loves that. All right.
So yeah,
Well,
keep the set list as flexible as you can. Try and add different components like Dan's talking about, with like medleys and cool stops and that kind of stuff. And try to find ways of continuously innovating in that way, because that is what's going to keep people really locked in on what you're doing and want to go to your next show, because they know that whatever happened at the last show that they really enjoyed, there's going to be something cool and special about the next one that I see. And
Right.
I want to be there. I don't want to miss it.
yeah. Versus if they've been 3 times and seen the same piece of shtick 3 times. Like, well, I can miss that. It's not gonna be new.
So change it up, keep it fresh for everybody. And this is probably only one of the few ones that allow us to kind of, you know, be indulgent to a degree. Because it's like, no, guys, really think this through. Most time we're like, don't think, don't do anything.
Just do.
Yeah. So we'll give it to you guys. That one is for all y'all.
Yep.
And on a totally unrelated note, the next rule is don't be a schmuck.
Don't be a schmuck.
And this is another one of those things that happens. Like, are you being a schmuck in the dynamics of the band, but also to the audience?
Yeah.
It kind of
And to the
works
venue.
both ways.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, don't be a jerk to people who work at places.
I love what they wrote
You're
here.
not Prince.
You're not Prince.
Even if your job is pretending to be.
It's so good. So well written. Yeah.
You're in the show business, and so is the person running your monitors. So,
And working security at the door and pouring your drink. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be grateful. Be appreciative. Be a partner. Be there for the success of the business, and there are several businesses running at any one time. Don't be a schmuck.
Then it's saying, you know, don't pander to the worst instincts of your audience. You don't have to say yes to every request, but you probably shouldn't turn down every request either.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Probably something I need to take my own advice there.
Who was it? I think it was on the Patreon. Somebody said, like, sure, we take requests. We may not play them, but we take them. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Don't engage in petty rivalries with other bands and musicians.
Yeah.
That's something that I still don't quite understand. Like the online trash talk. Like, no, don't do that.
Well, you know, there is this sense of competition, this sense of scarcity that, you know, there are only so many gigs to go around. But if you zoom out and kind of take a long enough view, there are plenty of gigs for everybody, and we can float all boats, and it's fine.
Well, the other thing about that, you know, is having the perspective of time, is knowing that people come and go.
Yeah.
And you don't know when you end up in a situation where you need that person's help.
That's right. That's right.
Or
That's
something in that arena, and don't do that.
No.
Just
that unburnt bridge. You don't know when you're going to need that.
Yep.
Plus, as your guys say here in the article, you don't know, because you know who doesn't care about any of that BS? Your audience.
Your audience.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing.
Yeah.
Actually, we got a sale on the merch store today. There were of Does the Audience Care sticker.
Very nice.
So somebody's putting that somewhere in a place of prominence to remind themselves.
Good.
And you should too.
You should too.
I think actually there's like a merch sale right now.
Oh.
I think at least t-shirts are discounted.
Nice.
Links in the description.
Just go check that out.
Disregard.
It's a good deal.
Of course. And kind of in the same situation, or kind of like in the same vein of this one, is the last one, which is let your audience lead you. This one is saying this applies to not just cover bands. This is something that, you know, any group could benefit from.
Yeah.
But the big one is, it's not about you. It's about how you make people feel.
That's right. And if you're dialed in, if you're paying attention, you can hear how the room feels, and you can let that direct your choices for the rest of the show or the rest of your career.
And that's why we take feedback from people when they come up and they talk to us, because that's important. We need to know how it's being perceived out there.
Right.
And that's why we field test the songs. The Wang Chung rule is very much a let the audience lead you,
Exactly.
because if a song doesn't hit, give it a couple of shots. But if the audience isn't into it, there's no point in you trying to prove a point, or really beating it to death.
Yeah. It doesn't
Man,
matter how much you
I'm
believe
all
it's a
over the place.
banger.
Yeah. So just suck it up and make it about that.
Yeah. Now, I want to temper that one just a hair.
Okay.
So,
Because we came in pretty hot there.
yeah. So, in my day gig, I'm a product manager. I lead a team of product managers, and we do a lot of field research. We talk to customers, and we, get primary research on our people. The one thing that I believe to be true and has never been challenged by any empirical outcomes of talking to people
Mm-hmm.
is that innovation will never come from a customer feedback exercise.
Right.
They'll tell you what they think they want. They'll tell you what they've seen out there that they think is cool. But a brand new idea that's going to rock their universe, by definition, they've never thought
Not
of it.
interested. Yeah.
So a new song, I think it feeds into the Wang Chung rule, because you expected that song. You expected everybody Wang Chung tonight. What's the name of the song? That's the
I think it's Have Fun Tonight.
Have Fun. Yeah. You expected that one to just blow the roof off.
Yeah.
And it was a worthy bet to take that it was going to. And you gave yourself a few dates to play it to find out if it was going to. Turned out it didn't, but it was a bet you took. It was a gamble you took based on your experience and your knowledge of the song and your knowledge of songs that work. If you'd ask people, what do you think of that song? Everybody Wang Chung tonight. They'd been like, oh, everybody Wang Chung. They would have, I don't know whether they would have given you like, yeah, it's fine. I don't know. I'm probably not going to dance to it. You may or may not have gotten that feedback, but the idea of throwing that song in the mix and seeing how it goes wouldn't have come from an audience. They wouldn't have said, try that one. And that bet didn't pay off, but lots of bets do, or some bets do. And the ones that do, man, ride them for the rest of your career, because it's a discovery that is worth discovering.
Yeah.
So listen to your audience, but also, temper that with what your gut says. And you can test your gut against the audience, the audience some, but
yeah, I think that's what the audience is there for. Like,
yeah,
you are continuously going to, iterate and
totally
go down that road.
Yes. So let your audience lead you, but give them a path to walk that they're either going to lead you down or not.
And yeah, that's it.
There you go.
Because if you can't do that, what are you doing?
Yeah, if we can't make
the audience, the intangible audience, wherever they may be,
that ephemeral,
yes,
the
audience
audience
is everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to to channel it.
The universe is my audience.
I don't know where I'm going.
No,
with
but I
this.
love it. We've gone off some sort of deep end, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, and usually you're the one that's pretty good at kind of moving the plot forward. I felt like I really kind of
am I?
up in this case.
I got nothing. Here's the point: do these things.
Do them.
Yeah.
And don't not do them.
Don't not do them.
I love that. That's basically the way we end every show.
Yeah, do this. Don't
In
not
conclusion,
do this.
Do this thing or do the exact opposite. We don't care.
Right. No, do this thing and don't not do this thing.
Yes.
And if you don't do the thing or you do not do the thing, then that's on you.
Maybe.
Unless it's on us.